Good morning to you all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thank you all for being here. If you can, please, if you're watching or streaming live on YouTube right now on the Sal Greco Show channel, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button as well. If you're watching or streaming live on Rumble right now, please hit the Rumble button, hit the like button. Follow us on Rumble on the Sal Greco Show channel. And if you're watching or streaming live on X right now on the @Sal Greco handle, please like this and share this out to all your friends, especially those in the low information bubble. There is a lot to get to, there was a couple of things. And of course, good morning to, 1804 Banks. I haven't seen you in a while, but thank you for being here and finding this channel. Obviously, this is where all my material and Jack Stern also, who's the producer / newsman / co-host / he wears many hats on the show behind the scenes. You could also follow his work here because there's going to be a lot of stuff that'll come on. We're going to put out here on this channel. By the way, shout out to my friend Jason Goodman, Crowdsource the Truth. If you didn't watch it on his channel, you should follow him on Crowdsource the Truth or follow him also on X. Me and Jack did a walk and talk, which is something that I believe Jason perfected in this genre. We did a walk and talk on West Palm Beach. It was quite an interesting walk, and we ran into a couple of strange characters, Palm Beach, not West Palm, Palm Beach. It was on Worth Avenue, and there was a whole thing, and Jack was on there. We ran into a guy in an RV. It was funny, but also we met someone later on while we were walking with a GT 500. So if you can, you could always check us out there. But it was, even Jack got into the act. See, because I don't leave my producer / wingman out of there. But so check that out if you can. That was on Friday, and we did speak about a lot of things. Some things that I gave a preview to what we're going to be talking about today. So before any of that, if you can, please, if you're going to shop, I understand you want to shop at Publix or, shop at ShopRite or wherever it is in your local grocery store or your local deli or your market. But if you can, you go to myfreedomcart.com / the Sal Greco Show, and you can shop with Patriots, because it's very hard to shop with your family, but it's not hard to shop from your seat right now, wherever you're sitting down watching this, or if you're listening also on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you could also hear us streaming there as well if you want the audio form. And you could just click and order things from there. And when you order things, they're all made in America. And these are people that have supported law enforcement, sanitation, fire departments, donated plenty of money to those organizations throughout the United States. So myfreedomcart.com / the Sal Greco Show. And of course, I don't get my news from these mainstream search engines, because they're always usually biased. So I get it from Free Spoke, and I think that's where you should go to. Go to Free Spoke and use my code Greco35 and get the subscription to that. I know you surf the internet and you search for things on the search engine and you don't get what you're looking for. Well, I have a solution for you, and that's Free Spoke. Free Spoke is a search engine that does everything without all the restrictions and all the censorship, and there's no porn ads. Free Spoke is about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels media bias, no intrusions or data leaks. No porn ads, like I said, unlimited, unbiased AI. Also, deep dive podcasting. You can look it up. Go to freespoke.app.link / Greco. Download the app. You could also use the same link to get 35% off the premium subscription, which would be well worth it. Try it out. freespoke.app.link / Greco. There you have it, folks. And you go Greco35, get your 35% discount on a subscription plan, which you could use also instead of ChatGPT. You could use Free Spoke. So they do the same things, and then you can switch over what side. You want to lean left, you want to lean right, but you won't just get something that's leaning just one way specifically if you go on that search engine. So I see Stay Trained Up. Good morning, my man. Good morning to you too. You're another person that was always in here, but now you come to this channel, you could always check me out here. Lone Silencer as well. Good morning to you too, brother. Of course, Frankie Palaguacci, great friend of the show. I spoke to him yesterday. Shout out to you. $99.99 to the Sal Greco Show. There's plenty of cafecito to go around for that. He says, thank you, Sal, for exposing the truth. May God bless you. It's something interesting with that, and maybe we'll touch up on some things about that later on in the show. The latest on Frankie Palaguacci's case. And, of course, that's Joel Ramirez. Shout out to you, Joel. You're always here as well. Sending $49.99 to the Sal Greco Show, which is a plethora of cafecitos. You might need a defibrillator after having so many. He's just sent out the super sticker. So listen, shout out. You guys are great. You guys are always here. This is where you come for fact-based analysis. 1804 Bank says, what's going to be the new time for the live now? 11:05 a.m. Eastern, Mondays and Thursdays. Remember that number, 11:05 Eastern, Mondays and Thursdays. So this weekend, I had a post up, and it's very interesting because this is the theme of this. So this was, we had a single anonymous letter delivered through the United States Postal Service. It was actually sent to, my guest was going to come on, Eric Sanders. And as you know, he's a former police officer in the NYPD, but more importantly, he is an attorney. So if you do send him things, that's attorney-client privilege. You should remember that. So, I know a lot of people want to be whistleblowers and you're afraid because, the soccer mom's vindictive and whatnot. But if you do speak to Eric, who is an attorney, that is attorney-client privilege. So I want to reiterate that so you understand why a letter like this would show up to Eric's office. But we go on, and I stated in this that the letter wasn't random. It wasn't sent to Internal Affairs, and it was not sent to the press either. That's the mainstream media or press in general, And if you scroll down a little bit here, it's very interesting because the contents of this letter and what's been alleged in there is long-standing misconduct. Yeah, time theft, overtime manipulation, pay-for-play culture surrounding federally funded transit overtime. We've been talking about transit on this show a lot. Circumvention of required screening and approvals process. Repeated internal complaints allegedly ignored. Fear retaliation for speaking out, which we all know that's what's going on with the NYPD now. And the possible existence of documentary evidence, including electronic communications using the WhatsApp Messenger platform. And we've said this over and over again here, right? We saw that people used the WhatsApp during when Quatisha Epps had her initial, allegations and filed her initial complaint. Remember, there were videos circulating, all these cops in this WhatsApp. I don't know why you guys keep doing, if you're on duty, you work in a police department, don't have WhatsApp. Even Internal Affairs, Group 1, WhatsApp, Christmas tree. I mean, it's just over and over again with the boneheaded decisions with people in the New York State Police Department. These things can get subpoenaed. You won't get caught. Even if you press delete, they'll still get it. So just get out of those things. But this letter, and if you keep scrolling down, there was things written in there, okay, it was very explicit what was said, okay, and they happen to mention this show besides sending it to Eric for the reason of the people that wrote this wanted this to be on the show because that's who they trust. So I don't know if you want to roll down to where the actual because it says the letter has not been released, no names or units or identifiers have been published, no whistleblowers are going to be exposed, and all allegations are undergoing legal, meaning there's legal ramifications to this. And here you see the letter. It was written Eric Sanders, and you could tell that this is actually, it looks like it's written on a typewriter. And for those who know the NYPD, those are almost obsolete. I used a typewriter. I think the last time I might have used one in the NYPD was 2012 when I was there, because everything became using the computer system. And you were using that for everything, including vouchers. But typewriters, we used them for like vouchers. And you still might see one or two lingering around if they work. So this was written specifically on a typewriter and sent, mailed, using the United States Postal Service. It wasn't emailed, so they can't track anything. So these are the things you need to remember as we're stating this stuff. And it says, in the upcoming months, if you can publicly announce on your social media page that it is safe to send you letters with names and units of police misconduct and corruption, you will have all the information you need to expose some of the biggest scandals ever to hit the NYPD. And we have to, use some of that blackened marker there so that we don't reveal every single name and things that were written there. But as you could tell, this letter, it's very important. And that's why I had Eric on. So I'm going to bring on Eric Sanders to the stage to discuss a little bit more on some of these allegations. And I mean, when did you even get this letter? This letter just showed up, and I think this is a bombshell allegation, and it's written on a typewriter. Like I said, it wasn't written on an email.
Thank you for having me again, as usual. It's always interesting to see these things. I've received anonymous things over the course of my career as a lawyer, and a good amount of them pan out. And this one is interesting. Of course, I redacted a lot of details, but there's some details about where the complaints are filed, what evidence they believe they have. So I'm all for it. Send it to me. And if you notice, I don't know, you didn't show the envelope, but it's interesting what they did. They actually sent it from me to me. So they use I covered it up, but what they did is they used my New York office and then the Yonkers office. So it's interesting. So it goes around a circle, but I won't say from what zip code it was. It went through which postal distribution center. That I won't say.
Yeah,
I cover that up if you notice.
Yeah, this is very interesting because some of the things. So, what can you discuss coming out of that letter? What was detailed, or some of the things that were detailed in regards to what they were writing about?
Okay, well, I will say is that whoever wrote it, and first of all, we don't know if it's true. It's just like anything else. It's an allegation. So now I'm suggesting that, hey, you have evidence, send it to me. Pay to play, in particular, the transit overtime and how it was allotted to people, specifically involving the Detective Bureau. Because if you notice, you saw Essex and Kenny, right? They were both the chief of detectives. And the evidence that someone accidentally put in a WhatsApp group. And apparently people have snaps of that picture of what he sent. So we'll see. That's what I will say.
Yeah, that's very interesting because we've understood for a while there was a lot of especially when Epps came out with her complaint, everything surrounding that was that there were overtime codes being manipulated and used, meaning there's federal codes, transit codes, this code, and of course you're not allowed to do that, which is why Paul Saraceno then became kind of like the fall guy in the office of the chief of department when really he's just one little, peg on the spoke. I don't know why.
Well, in this scenario, what they're suggesting is that people were being given overtime related to being compensated for. In other words, you pay to get the overtime.
So you
So we'll see.
So it's kind of like the patronage club.
Yeah.
You're paying
for system. I keep telling you, the spoils system's still alive. People think I'm joking about this stuff.
And this is what the main mantra of the entire show is about. The spoil system. The spoil system, which is what this administration, the last administration up until now, has heard.
Oh no, see, they're showing a picture of them. Oh no, it's going on right now. It's going on for all administration. It's been going on since the Rattle Watch.
That's what I wanted to ask you and tell these people. Just explain a little bit of the civil service system and the spoil system, which seems to be abused nonstop, 24/7 by those in power in the NYPD.
I talk about this. I wrote something about the Dutch Rattle Watch. A lot of people think the police department is built on this Peel model, right? The London model, the light blue shirts, be friendly, the nightstick, the little billy club, and all this nonsense. Anyway, that's not the true base of policing. The true base is policing the Dutch Rattle Watches. And you can go on my website. I have the document. And not only have the document, the police department also filed a document with the federal government to show that is the beginning of the police department in the early 1600s. So the Rattle Watchers is basically a group that would go out and enforce the power structure, right? The Dutch Indian Company, go out, drunks, and all these other kind of people. But it was only to protect power. That's the whole concept behind policing, to protect power. And you see it, and we could talk about statistical data because it's there. I kind of wrote about a few things this weekend to talk about it. But before that, to cut down as political patronage, now you have to look at the history of corruption. The Tammany Hall and, the spoil system, and, the winner goes to spoils. You heard that before. You guys may be too young for that. But anyway, that's what it means. To the victor goes the spoil. So if I defeat you, I get to distribute the things that who was loyal to me, etc. Spoil system. What they did to get around the spoil system is say, listen, we're going to come up with the system. So if you want job appointments, etc., we don't try to tamp down corruption. So they came up with the merit and fitness system of the federal government. Because, of course, there was federalism long before you have all, setups of the states. But anyway, they came up with the merit and fitness system. We're going to cut down corruption. Then the states supplied it with the civil service system. And all it does is recharacterize the same thing. We fit within the rules. We have discretionary promotions. We give gifts to get things. So it's the same thing, just recharacterized. Spoils. That's all it is.
Yeah, this is what I thought, because this plays right into up to the minute what's going on, because I want to break this to you. I just got this in the last couple of hours. I don't know if you noticed, but on the night of the 16th, which was Friday night, and January 16th, there was the end of the year chief of department had a party.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Oh, okay. And I know the name of the place. The name of the place, it was held at the DL. The DL is on 95 Delancey Street. So the chief,
DL, you mean the down low? That's what the DL is for. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Chief Michael LePetri is the chief of the department. Obviously, he was there, and so were a lot of subordinates, a lot of female subordinates, and of course, the esteemed soccer mom of the New York City Police Department was there. And it looks like, from not only from sources but from witnesses, and it could be video floating around out there, Michael LePetri was very handsy. They gave him the nickname of Madry 2.0.
Of course.
It was just out of control, so much out of control that the soccer mom had to escort Mr. LePetri outside and give him one of those, I guess, stern talking tos that you saw me unveil a video of how she talks to people outside the place to try to pull him away from all the females that he was getting very handsy and rowdy with. So this seems, Eric, there's a systematic issue in the NYPD.
Of course.
With this party atmosphere, and then you have allegations. As you know, there was on the Eric Adams, you had the party chief, Stevenson, you had Eddie Caban, you had the Consofritos, Zona de Cuba. They're all gone. Eric is gone. Mamdani's the mayor, but the more things change, the more they
remain the same. Of course, but this is why I say it's all bullshit. They talk about, the DEI people and all other stupid ass racial tropes. So anyway, these guys do it. This is called abuse of power. All right, that's what they do. That's what they do. They've been doing it from the beginning of time. And now on the LePetri, which is kind of interesting. I never met him before, but this is what they do. And then Tish was there, and maybe she have more of an interest in just pulling him to the side. I don't know. But,
well, yeah.
But
I know.
I heard she had to escort about. I don't understand how the police commission has to escort your chief department now surrounded by women. Like that's a surprise. You know, that's why a lot of these department things they have, quite frankly, they don't need to serve alcohol. Alcohol is the bane of the existence of the department when you have these damn events because it causes more problems than you can shake a stick at. Matter of fact, they shouldn't even have these kind of events because these people do not know how to act. They really don't. There's one I know about where the people, a woman called me up about this sergeant grabbed her vagina and someone else's breast. And we haven't heard about it, but I know where it is. And it's another one of these precinct fucking parties. These parties are garbage, man. They don't bring camaraderie. All it is set up so they can, okay, let's get so-and-so drunk so we can take advantage of her. Come on, I've been around the culture a long time. That's what really goes down.
That's what apparently happened at this party. And what's more shocking than anything else is that not only was it the chief of department, like office party, but that the soccer mom herself is present and has to escort the actual chief of department out of his own party because of the incidents that were transpiring in this place, which has cameras. And like I'm saying to you, I'm stating here, it's not just sources, it's witnesses saying, oh yeah, this was out of control. This guy is out. And we heard this under what? Eric Adams. You heard the same things. And people would just, I guess, want to attribute things just to Eric Adams' administration, but no. This is a long-standing problem.
Yes.
And you just
that's part of the spoil system. I become the victor. And it's not like there aren't rumors about him doing this before. Now, I don't know him, but I know about his little history. Matter of fact, one of my former clients was one of his little playmates. So come on already. I mean, it's ridiculous, but this is what goes on. But you notice you don't hear anything about it? Like, so I call it selective outrage, baby. They get upset when certain people do it. Oh my God, it's a crime. It's all these different things. Oh my God. Oh, I can't believe it. Meanwhile, they've done it in this administration, the past administration, the Shea administration, the O'Neill, Sewell. It keep going back. Kelly, their savior, Kelly, that did under his. I could talk about people in that too. All of them. They find. I don't think she's around anymore. This lap dance.
I remember this because this happened.
Remember her? She was dancing on the lieutenant's lap, and then she was drunk off duty somewhere in New Jersey, getting a conflict with the cops with her brother. It's just a mess, man. The culture is a mess because too much alcohol. That's the problem.
And the main thing is, as Joel Ramirez in the chat stating, was he unfit for duty? Because obviously,
of course, he was unfit.
Here you go. This is how I have a problem. This is the biggest problem I have. Unfit for duty. He's the chief of department. How are you laying out discipline and pointing fingers at discipline of your officers underneath you when you yourself just violated one of the main rules they've had forever? You unfit for duty. You were beyond unfit for duty. You were absolutely like another human being and acting like a wild man and had to be escorted out by your boss, which is the police the commissioner. This is embarrassing, and it just happened. It wasn't like this isn't a few months ago. This isn't the last administration. This just happened Friday night, and yet you hear crickets from One Police Plaza. You know, the Mamdani's administration. I mean, this guy is just appointing real winners in his administration. How can you fall asleep at the wheel with this stuff?
But this is why when you come and you clean freaking house, keeping these people is a bad move, man. Bringing new people. It's crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. Oh, unfit for duty. These are the hypocrites. This is what I'm talking about. That's why all these rules of selective enforcement, it's all BS. So of course he's unfit for duty. He gets his little drinks. I mean, he looks like a short guy to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But he looks like he's a pretty short guy to me. He's got the women surrounding him. Why? Because he's chief of department. He has power. What about the fraternization rules? I mean, come on already. It's just ridiculous. But this is what goes on. So that's why when they write about things in the paper, you notice they don't write about that, but they write about certain people. Oh my God, I can't believe it. They were fraternizing. Oh yeah? They've been fraternizing since 1845. Well, I'll say 1607 when the rattle watch is around, but I'll say 1845 for the purposes of the department when it formed. Well, prior to that, it was all separate, but when they merged, it became the NYPD. But it's all the same nonsense all the time. The same stuff that's been going on back then. It's the same thing going on now. Just different players, same game.
Yeah, and this is why, even when I heard it originally, I didn't say anything at first, but now there's more details to come, and to me, it just shows a bunch of hypocrites and they're double talking, and I don't think it's fair that you're dishing out punishment like we had Frankie Palaguachi's in the chat, right? In fact, one of these questions is a good question for you. What's the status with getting that hair test removed? I know officer got terminated recently. He's in the Air Force, never did drugs in his life. So that was another win. Psych medics.
Let me tell you about that, because I kind of haven't said anything about that. I'm making a FOIA request to get the whole vending history of the psych medics all the way back to 1993. I'm waiting for DCAS to get me the modules, and also for the controls office and the NYPD to get the whole testing methodology going all the way back to 1993. And Frankie doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to mention it here first. I have a whole new industry reach out to me recently, the oil and gas industry. They happen to use psych medics as well. So there's a couple thousand people in a group that reached out to me just recently. Matter of fact, he called just before I got on the show. He emailed me over the weekend, and they have the same problem there with the hair test.
This is interesting, because I wanted to break something here as well. Speaking about Frankie, so Frankie obviously gets terminated, and then he sent me something. So your unemployment benefits from this, right? It was deep. Now get this. This usually goes to the Department of Labor, and there's a commissioner there. But apparently the NYPD had said that he can't get benefits because he was terminated due to this test. He doesn't have the same rights as everyone else. Remember, he didn't commit a crime. He wasn't terminated because of creating a crime or being wrong in a crime. He's terminated for political nonsense because the test is not even deemed valid. But so he was denied his benefits this whole time until all of a sudden the real judge steps in there at the commissioner office and the labor commissioner's office and says, "Well, wait a minute, that ruling that can't stand." So there's a separate problem with the why is the police department putting the cart in front of a horse when they were trying to make judgments on Frankie, saying he can't get benefits because he failed their BS test, when you can't do that. You're not the state law. So that's another issue. I don't know if you know about that. That just sprung up.
I can tell you that the employer is allowed to try to challenge the finding and saying, well, no, they really got terminated for misconduct. The problem is what they won't talk about, the scientific validity of the examination, which has been going on since the 90s. So it's going to be something break. Eventually, I think he's going to ultimately overcome this, but it's just going to be a fight in the meantime. They will never admit that it's wrong. But meanwhile, these other industries now reaching out, which is actually pretty good, because this particular industry, the oil and gas, a group of people is about 2,000 people that are in one group. And they reached out to me twice. Just I've been so damn busy, man. I haven't gotten back to it. I supposed to be laying back now. All these people trying to hire me is ridiculous. But getting back to La Patria. Now, this guy is another embarrassment. He's supposed to be the chief department, highest uniform ranking member, right? He's dancing at a party surrounded by women like he's the godfather or some shit. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? This is what I'm talking about. The department is so undisciplined now, it's ridiculous. Back when I was on the job, the chief department, these people, they were uniformed people. You saw them. They were always, it's just completely different now. It's just like, sad. Just sad. That's all I can say.
Yeah, this thing, and expect something. You might remember the last time you heard about these kind of parties. Somebody, obviously, you have the other half of that complaint from the lieutenant that stated that the Manhattan North was having the party chief there, Stevenson, was having people at the time. Jeffrey Madry and John Schell were, I guess they were grading the wet T-shirt, whatever it was, contest they were having, the best female cop or whatever.
Oh, yeah, best dress. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It's crazy.
And then the after party was where at Con Sofrito with Jimmy Rodriguez, who he introduced the other lieutenant as his friend, but he's a known criminal and mob associate. So here they are. All this stuff happened. Here they are again. This time you have this You have this image of this Italian guy from Long Island that, he's quiet, Michael LePetri, and he's doing the same damn thing that the guys before him were doing. And it just shows that there's a problem. There's a problem in this culture. There's a problem in the culture. It's not this guy or that guy. It's the culture.
No.
It's the culture.
Systemic. It's systemic. That's the problem. And they won't talk about it now. They talk about these guys all day long, right? But they're not doing anything any different than anybody else.
No.
It's the same thing.
This thing with LePetri is because now what's going to happen at this, Eric? You think anyone that was there that may or may not have been grabbed or something is not going to end up calling your office going, oh, no, I have video. I have something. It's a big venue. Like what the, I don't understand what they were doing after everything. You got to smarten up and realize that, this isn't the 1980s and there's no camera. There's a ton of cameras. There's witnesses. You got to be careful of your actions because you think I'm a chief. That doesn't mean anything. Chief of department. No one's bulletproof in this.
So since we're in a breaking things, I guess I might as well talk about something else. So these guys like to seem to think that they have access to the women because this is part of the spoils, right?
Yep.
Oh, we have access to the new women, the new recruits, and it's that. Well, they got a problem in the academy, and I'm just trying to get some of these women to come forward. There's a certain person that seems to think that the recruits, the female recruit in the academy, are his little piece of the candy. And I know who it is. And he's done a few other things. Matter of fact, one of the supervisors who was there sent me a timeline this morning to bring a case against that person and some other stuff that he's done, including his little DEI game over there with the mop heads. Just in case you think I don't know what you're talking about, mop heads. So now you know what I'm talking about. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. That's for people in the police department downtown, and you can figure it out. Ask your academy people, they'll tell you. So a certain chief over there has little hangups with people with the mop heads and then harassing the female recruits. That's coming soon.
This is not
Dami, you got a bunch of clowns that are under your administration. I know you don't talk to, I'm not going to call her soccer mama, though I feel like calling her, sending some soccer balls. I'm going to call her the savior. Your savior, she need to be gone like yesterday. Her and all the rest of these clowns, get rid of them, bring your own people in because these people are garbage.
I must say
unqualified. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, she's clearly unqualified to be the police commissioner. I posted some things in the feedback in there. Apparently, also there's a 9-8 tax number guy in the 9th precinct that's going to be a detective, and people were messaging me. I don't know how true that is, but they seem to be very adamant about this. I don't know who this person's connect, another crony, another nepotism, which is what runs rampant. But under this police commissioner, by the way, I'd like to say who they want to put in there. I'm just getting more data on this. They want to replace it. It's very clear. And by the way, the soccer mom does not have access to the mayor. She does not call him. I know that's what they want to present to you because you saw Kathy Hochul and all of that. She does not speak to the mayor directly. She is not his first pick. He does not want her there because clearly there's a disconnect. And the guy that should be running it, which we've had over and over again, you heard Abbasi's name be mentioned. Abbasi is not the person that they want to replace her with because, of course, that would make perfect sense. Comes from the culture. He knows all the players. He knows the game. But why put him in when they're going to put someone, the next person they want to put in, as much as I can tell you, is that this person, again, never wore the uniform. So you're going to have you go from a soccer mom to what, a soccer dad? Because I don't know how they want to run this police department, but this woman is clearly inadequate at this job. And the things that you're saying, either she either knows about this or just lets it whatever. The city, we'll either go to court and we'll settle this later. And, I'm not personally responsible. This is what I used to tell you when you talk about qualified immunity. it's one thing saying someone in the street qualified immunity. It's another thing saying, well, why is the police commissioner absolved of this when she's a lawyer herself? She should know what she's allowing. It's going to cost millions and millions of dollars purposely. You know, it's purposely going to happen. I mean, am I right or wrong? I don't think they should have qualified immunity to make decisions like this, especially the soccer.
Just all these things. I mean, there's so many things I see them doing. It's like, come on already, man. Do you guys know how to do any triage? This is a freaking problem. Fix the problem. You would stop a lot of these lawsuits, a lot of litigation, a lot of everything. It's so easy to do the right thing, but in this culture, doing the right thing is wrong. You know, doing the right things means bullshitting. I'm talking about legitimately fix a problem. You say, this is bad. Fix it. It's so simple to fix it. And a person who's a police commissioner can fix it with the stroke of a pen. Why? Because the administrative code and the city charter allows for them. They have that much power. There's only other one commissioner has that much power. That's the fire commissioner. Other than that, the police commissioner has so much power. It's ridiculous. And they could fix a lot of things, but they don't because they're too busy playing to the unions, to this, to that, and all these bullshit artists. And all they do is create more and more problems for the agency. It's just crazy.
Yeah, you just mentioned the fire department. I don't know if you saw that, but you know, I broke this story.
I commented on that. That lady who the EMT person. I commented and people gave me shit. Oh, you against women? I'm not against women. There's a difference between emergency medical practices and fire science. Two different things. All right. How can you lead something you don't fucking understand? You know, people go, oh no, you're a good manager. No. In order for you to make an assessment, you have to be able to have a frame of reference. What's your frame reference? You don't know anything. Come on, it's common sense.
Yeah, and I tell you this, she's this person here, and I'm gonna want to say this about this on Friday. As you know, back in September of last year, under Eric Adams, the same chief put a memo out that said, any member of service anywhere, meaning any member of service on duty in any agency, you would now have to put down their personal address on paperwork that goes to workers' comp or anyone in a hospital could see, when it's always been who is your employer. The police department's 1 PP. The fire department's 9 Metro Tech. They revoked this order on Friday. They finally got to it all this time later. And it's going to go back to being what it was. It was always your employer, whoever your employer is, their main address. That's what you put. You put it down for many different reasons. But why would you ever think of putting a personal address on there when this, first of all, they're going in a hospital, going in an ambulance because it's on-duty work. It's not off-duty. He wasn't home. It's on-duty work, he or she. So why are we putting their personal address, which is another blunder that came from, you know, Adams leftovers, who yet again, I believe this guy, Michael Fields, is still there in EMS. He's still the chief.
I never understood why the ruling was. So first of all, it's a public safety issue. That's number one, right? You have to be concerned about people's personal addresses. But more importantly, it's not a pay issue. The city self-pay. So really the only reason why you want to know about the address is so for billing purposes, right? Because eventually you want to make sure it matched billing rates and whatever. But the bottom line is it's self-pay. So I never understood the rule. And when I saw it, when you talked about it, I saw the post, I didn't understand why that rule was in place in the first place. I never understood it.
How they put this in? They put this in place in September. So they've been doing this now. They did it for at least almost 4 months because it was in the middle of the month. It made it to the middle of January. Yeah. So if you were on duty, you had to give them your personal address on forms that they go. It's all workers' comp stuff. It's not personal. You're not getting picked up because it's on duty injuries, which is crazy. I don't know who came up with that idea. Clearly, they finally caught up to it 4 months later. But now there's 4 months of paperwork on numerous people that were getting injured on duty in different agencies. Now their personal address is on this paperwork, which is,
this Hunter is saying New York City EMS was separate from the FDNY. That's been since 1996. They've been together for a long time now. That was pre-merger when they were Health and Hospital Corporation and wore the green and white uniform. That's different. But yeah,
people look. PBE 777 says an EMT isn't a firefighter. School safety is part of NYPD. Would you appoint a school guard to NYPD commission? It's another PEI check hire.
Yeah. I don't understand what that was about. But she's not the first one, though. She's not the first one. Remember, they have other people who are not firefighters either, including this past guy. So
yep.
We didn't call him DEI. You see, this is what I'm talking about. If you're going to talk about something, be accurate and be genuine about it. He wasn't DEI. He's not fucking qualified. He was just a great donor.
That's right.
It was a parole guy. He wasn't a cop. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why that whole DEI fucking codes pisses me off to the highest level. If you're going to be honest about the whole thing, you have unqualified people that come from all walks of life. It's not unique to any one fucking group. It really isn't.
Hey, I've looked at it and look, to my best, the way I could best say it is, is there some form of it? Yeah, it is. It's there, but in reality, what really drives promotions and all that stuff? It's all cronyism and nepotism. That's what it is. You're gonna get the phone call. You got to promote someone, and I don't know if they're gonna say if it's their skin color, but guess what? If that's the case. If you're in the 68th precinct, which is Bay Ridge, who do you want as a CO? Some Irish guy? Or do you want, I don't know, there's a huge Arab population. It's starting to change. There's some Hispanics there. You got to mix in with the community. I don't know if that's DEI, but you got to listen to the community, right? So, again, put a crony, right? You put a crony in.
My point about it is they're using DEI in a disingenuous way, all right? This past fire commissioner was not a fucking firefighter. We didn't hear no DEI shit. He's fucking DEI. If anything, he should never have a job. We ain't talking about him, right? Howard Safer, same shit. All right? The same thing. He's a parole guy. He didn't belong in here. Come on. I mean, we can go on and on with all these leaders. I mean, stop it already with the boy. When I see that, it tells me the level of intelligence because you're not being fair to people. I mean, you're just not. The bottom line is they're not qualified. It doesn't matter what race they are. If they either qualified or not qualified.
Yeah, but I remember the fire chief saying he was part of the Eric Adams club. He paid to get in. Robert Tucker was his name, and he's involved in a whole mess from the past. I don't know what he was doing there. He never was a firefighter in his life, and you saw what he was doing there. And then the guy they put in a week before they put her in was even like, where did that guy come from?
That's my point.
So Eric Adams snuck in a fourth fire commissioner and the last hour. I don't know why, because I guess this guy was another one. They're trying to make it. They try to say he was the first Hispanic, whatever, something. I saw his name. I go, he's got 1 day to be the commissioner. Why did the other guy leave and put this guy in? And Eric Adams now has a record: 4 police commissioners and 4 fire commissioners in 4 years.
You know why, pal? Because it's a trophy piece. You donated to me. You're part of my club. I connect you. It's just like what's the other woman who was a fire commissioner, the lawyer, and now she's coming back again. What's her name?
Yes. Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. Another one. She's not fucking. I didn't hear anybody say DEI for her. But meanwhile, what is she? Unqualified. She knows shit about fighting fires. That was her connection is to Obama, the Obama administration. What was she? Like a PR person, some press person, whatever. My point is, we have this like selective outrage. I love that. I'm glad I came with that selective outrage. It's the truth. It's selective outrage. People get upset when it's not their people. Oh my God, I can't believe it. These people are not qualified.
And you know something, and here it is. He was a special assistant to Blasio during the.
Okay.
All kinds of. This is all political patronage. You know, you're part of the club. You're inside.
Spoils, baby. It spoils. The spoil system at operation.
I will give you guys right now that stick out like a sore thumb as far as the spoil system goes, and it's just a little outside NYPD, but it is law enforcement. Christy Nome, head of Homeland Security.
Oh my God!
Does she know anything about Homeland Security?
Don't talk about her, please.
I'm just saying.
She looks ridiculous. That cowboy hat. Don't know what she's talking about. What a disaster. Well, you see, I wrote about all this ICE stuff in their jurisdiction. What a disaster. Oh my God, they got to put a stop to all that stuff.
Yep, that's
a disaster.
There's one there, and then there's a second guy, because at the FBI is Cash Patel. Did he understand the culture? Was he an FBI agent? Because what the hell is going on over there? But what happened? Why did they get hired? They must be real close to the king in order to get that job.
It's very difficult to manage something you have no idea how it runs. There's a reason why you go through life and you learn, you become more experienced. And if you become more experienced, you have a lot more information to evaluate. How can you go in somewhere and be an agency head? You're responsible for all these people, the equipment, the budgets, and just go there because it's a fucking toy. It's not a toy. This is real. You have real responsibility. Even if whether the school system, any of these systems, if you don't, it's like when they put, what's his name? Joe Klein. He was a lawyer, a corporate lawyer in part of the DOE. I mean, are you serious? He's not an educator. What the hell does he know about teaching? And people think it's easy. No, there's a whole science of teaching also. People have different learning abilities. They learn at different rates, and there's different theories behind it. If you don't understand the system, how can you possibly comment on it?
All right, listen, look at you look at these other appointments too. I mean, when Eric was around as the mayor, Phil Banks was the deputy mayor, public safety, right? And you look at him and go, wait, he might be qualified in some, but then he was an unindicted coach. I mean, he left in a mess. How could he be appointed there? And they were asking about that, right? But again, he put a crony in there, right?
Yep.
He put a crony, and then he put another crony. And then later on, when Kaz Daughtry, who everyone would agree, this guy is not qualified to run a lemonade stand, let alone anything in the New York City Police Department, but yet he made it to deputy mayor of public safety.
He knows how to drive a car.
You know,
his manager is a little driver. He drive them all to subordinates' houses.
Yeah,
I told you I'm a straight shooter. He's a good driver.
He drove the NYPD straight into the ground while he was at it too, and he was trying to drive the entire administration down with him, flying it up in the air with drones. You know,
what a disaster.
This guy was, yeah. But again, that I'm pointing to cronyism and nepotism is how these government jobs work majority wise, because these people, they get elected to office, they put their friends in. Whoever got them there, their friends. Oh, I've known you a long time. And this is where you get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Then when you come up to the real, you know, when you look at the statistics and all that stuff, you also don't factor in things like, okay, he's my friend, so I'm going to put him there as the deputy mayor, whatever. I know it. He's my crony. What are you going to do about it? I got elected. You didn't. Like, that's what they do. So it's got more to do with that's my buddy, that's my pal, than it does anything else.
And it goes on everywhere. You see, it's going on the federal government too. You see what's happening with those appointments. They're all backfiring. The courts are starting to deny all these things. There's a lot of pushback. Like I told you, the way the Constitution is written, no one person can control anything. I know they think they do in their mind, but believe me, there's so many controls in place. And now the president's getting it from all angles now, man. The courts, this, that, this ICE thing, they never thought it was going to blow up like this. ICE, or the Department of Homeland Security, when they created it, the immigration, it was supposed to be at the borders. That's it. And 100 miles out. The court gave them some leeway, 100 miles, just in case obviously they have to chase someone. They never anticipated they were going to go and do general policing all over the place. It's crazy. But this is what happens. Spoil system, right? We carry out what I want you to do. Now it's a disaster. I bet you if we could listen and we were like a little fly on the wall, I'm sure the president's cabinet is going, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do about this ICE problem now? This can like spiral into fucking civil unrest all over the United States.
And I tell you, so I got a little bit of a little info on that. So my friend Dominic Izzo, who's also been on the show, he's a former cop in Chicago, ran for office, has his own story, but he has his own show, Cop Talk. You'll have, and he got message from an ICE guy from Homeland Security, 19 years, 20 years on the job. And what was amazing is he stated that so what you're seeing in Minnesota is not just all kinds of veterans. There's people there in ICE that you're supposed to get 8 weeks or 2 months of training, physically, and they teach you all this stuff.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, they gave these guys that are there right now 4 weeks of online training.
No, you serious?
Can
you tell? Can you tell? They look like a mob. This is ridiculous, man.
This is
no professional enforcement people.
This is the problem. What you're seeing is they're not trained properly. They don't even have the training to be out there like that. And I don't know why. This is a question to Miss Nome, who's the head of Homeland Security. Why are you putting basically rookies or people that just shifted over to ICE 4 weeks online course? That's not, you have to be trained in these situations, which you're seeing is crazy. The way they're handling people, they don't know how to talk to people. You don't just look, you may not like the guy with the camera, but you can't just go over there and smash him to the ground and take his camera.
No, that's the First Amendment right to record you. It's sad. We respect our federal officers. Who the fuck said nobody respects them? It's when they're following the law. This is how people forget. You know how the United States was founded? The United States was founded because people became afraid of the government.
Yep.
That's how it happened. And see, this is what's dangerous. You keep forgetting. Police officers keep forgetting this all day long. You police because people allow you to police. Not because you can, because they allow it. Because the public turned on you, it would be a big freaking problem. I used to talk to my partners about this all the time. All right. They let you police. You're not policing. They let you police. Because if you get the citizens afraid of you, they turn against you, then all hell will break loose. That's how the United States was formed. Mm-hmm. People forget that. I mean, we weren't around, obviously, but if you look at the history, that's what happened. Taxation, representation, and all this other kind of nonsense. The bottom line is, and then a lot of people only know what ICE's power is because they don't tell you what their power is. Go on my website, you can read all about it. ICE has very limited jurisdiction. This thing they're doing all over the United States, unconstitutional. Kicking in people's doors, unconstitutional. Stopping people, Terry versus Ohio, unconstitutional. It's bananas what's going on. Kicking people, beating them up, yanking them out of the fucking car. I mean, are you kidding me? That's what you want? And I know they go, oh, but it's those illegals. No, they're doing it to U.S. citizens too. See,
yes,
that's why you should give a shit about when people are mistreated, because the person that's mistreated could be you or your family one day. Just like that lady Good. She's a U.S. citizen. She's dead. Is that what we wanted? I don't think so. No, and besides that, this whole ICE issue is all civil anyway. It's such a complex thing to talk about. People talk about it as emotional because they demonize you. But the bottom line is what they're doing is all unlawful. It's how would I deal with the illegal aliens? First of all, it's been going on since the turn of time. It's so very easy. Give them fucking status. The last time, you know who did that? Who had the balls to do it? Ronald Reagan. He's the greatest guy in the world, right? He's the only one who had the balls to take the problem on and say, you know what? We'll give them amnesty. They're here anyway. Matter of fact, they're paying into society. They're paying taxes. They're paying they're with the food industry. People. What's the problem? Fix the problem. But they don't want to fix it because it's good. But guess what, people? Guess who's paying for all this shit? We are. Mm-hmm. You're paying for all the housing. Oh, and guess who's making the millions off the people? Fucking not us. All their people, right? They're private corporations that's running prisons. Come on, man. These people need to wake up. I keep talking about social stratification. They have people so fucking brainwashed that they'll pit one against the other. Meanwhile, you're in no better position they are. You one paycheck away from being just as fucking broke as everybody else. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, to me, that incident, that was very sad. And I said, the tactics on there proved that real. I don't know where they got their training. But that guy, the only reason that he's not going to, they could go after him because there's a Supreme Court case that from 2013 that stated at ICE who did this in the past. You can't stand in front of someo's car.
No.
Because they're not trained for that.
Remember, I wrote about it. There was a whole study done on this by the Police Executive Reform Forum, and they talked about that. The way ICE generates shootings, stand in front of fucking cars. Who the hell teach you to stand in front of a goddamn car? That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, and then you see the new Supreme Court case talks about this, that we're not going to allow you to say, oh, just before I fired a weapon, I was defending myself. Now they're going to look at the whole totality of it. They're going to look at how all this shit was generated. So if you engage in all this dumb shit and didn't follow your tactics and baiting people, guess who's going to start being held responsible for? People in law enforcement has done that shit.
Yeah, I mean, PB 77 says you would make them all citizens overnight, all 20 million. Okay, that's a potential solution. I don't know if there's really 20 million.
No, it's not. See, what's what I'm talking about? It's all hyperbole. First of all, we can accommodate them. You know why? Because we're accommodating them now. They're all in the communities all over the place. They melted in the communities. It's crazy, you know.
To say this in the past, I referenced this once, even on big platform shows. Clearly, though, I still think that one ICE officer that did that unfortunately killed that female. You know why that's going to happen? Because it's political. Because if they let the Lieutenant Byrd,
way he's going to get away with it.
Lieutenant Byrd, who killed Ashley Babbitt, he walks. They justify him. How do you not justify this guy? Because it's the same kind of political sphere.
But now you know what the difference is? That happened on the District of Columbia's jurisdiction. Yes, this happened in the states. Remember, the states have all the power. People think, oh, the federal government. No, the federal government has the power. Read the Constitution. The states have all the power, and that's why they're blocking him and doing all this stuff. That guy's going to be in for a problem because the Trump administration is only going to be around for 4 years. After 4 years, guess what? They can still bring a case, a murder case. Doesn't have it. I'm telling you, this one's going to be a problem for him.
But so,
but did you see the Bonvino, whatever, the guy who's in charge of? Did you see him walking around with? Did you see this guy? Bovino, right? Bovino, the guy who's in charge of ICE.
Oh, yeah. There's a few guys that claim that they're.
No, did you see this guy? He's got a long jacket on like he's going in a war zone. He's got all these people walking around. I said, look at this fucking guy. And you supposed to be in charge of ICE? Oh, come on, man. You guys need to stop it already. These are civil fucking warrants. See, and there we go.
Yeah.
No, you don't shoot at cars. And stop it already. If you stand in front of a fucking car, you shouldn't be in law enforcement. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. I never got ran over by a car. And you know what? I fucking took guns and machine guns, everything else from everybody. So stop it already. You're fucked up tactics. That's why. Because if you follow your policy, you wouldn't be in front of a goddamn car.
That's a problem. They're not these guys in particular, wherever they're from. I don't know where they're trained, if they're new to ICE. Like I said, if you're new, you got to go through this whole thing, and they're not doing that. That's the secret that they're being, and you could clearly tell some of these tactics are atrocious. So the thing I was going to point out with ICE, right, what people aren't talking about is, I said this on these other shows, you don't have enough immigration judges to have the hearings for every single illegal that's in this country.
But they fired him. You see, he got rid of them all.
He got rid of some. You gotta restack. This is a problem. And I said back then, you don't have the manpower, which is what you're seeing. You don't have the manpower to try to get all these people in front of the immigration judges, which you don't have. So unless you handle that first part, you can't do the second one. You can't even try it yet.
Okay,
it's all mishmash trying to, and this is the mess you have. I tackle it this way. You need immigration judges, right? You need to start hiring them all over the place. Whatever it is, they have the committee hearings, whatever. You got to bring all of those guys up to date. Then you got to say, well, how do we start? Oh, we need more ICE officers, more courts. Then you go to the second phase, and then finally you present all this stuff to Congress, make these laws. How do we go forward with this? And the president as well. Do we make some of these people, give them amnesty? Do they say work for your visas? If you're a bad guy, if you're a criminal, that's a different story. Then you have to bring those guys in for criminal charges. This is all mixed in, and this is what we're seeing. It's just nobody has a direction.
There's got to be a comprehensive immigration solution, and there hasn't been one. And Ronald Reagan at least made an attempt with the amnesty, but even then, Congress hasn't sat down yet and come up with a comprehensive plan. Because the bottom line is, And when the Trump administration came in, they got rid of all these immigration. I guess they thought they were being cute by doing it. So we just deport everybody. You can't have any hearing. But this is temporary bullshit because they're not going to be there forever. You think this immigration problem is going to be gone by the time he's gone? Absolutely not. If anything, I keep saying, you and I talk about this all the time. This may be his undoing because this shit people didn't ask for. They said, well, wait a minute. We know we have a problem with criminal immigrants and we have the gangs we understand that. We want you to deal with that. Not fucking Miss Sanchez down the block who is working a food restaurant that's trying to earn a living and send it back to her family at home. And okay, she overstayed her visa. We know, okay, fine. But this way, we don't want you coming with fucking people with, long guns, fucking 10 magazines. What the fuck are they doing? Going to war? Shit, we're in the United States. What's going on here? This is crazy.
Yeah, there's a way to do things. And that's the problem. Again, there's no direction. It's just, I think now they're having what we've seen in the police department, NYPD, they're having a quota, how many people you're bringing in as well. And if the things that are quota driven, that would be a problem because you keep hearing them come on the air and state, we've deported. And the number I saw was only 300,000 with all these guys running around. You haven't even scratched the surface if the true number is 20 million. If you're going on this crazy number, you're not even making a tiny dent. And you got all these kind of people. You're risking public safety out there with everybody running around. Now there's regular citizens. They're trying to attack. They're breaking into the cars. This is how you have no peace when you just get the judges. Let's do this the right way. The judges, the courts, then you load up on ICE and then you present this to government. Say, okay, we have the people, we have the personnel, we have the judges, we have to handle. Unfortunately, you're right. So many people in there. Joe Biden's they're bringing in people left and right. That is true. There were all kinds of stuff going on. But at the same time, there were criminal gangs, and they were just not even, they were ignoring that stuff. So then it was the extreme the other way where they just, I didn't see that. You can't do that either. So, yeah, you're right. People are right. But again, the correct way to tackle this, I believe, is judges, immigration courts. Yeah. Then you stack up on ICE because you're going to need numbers. It's okay. We're going to need these people to bring in these people or stand guard at these courthouses and do all this work. And then where's the law? Bring up a law that states what we can and can't do. And then you have your solution. It's pretty simple. It's a little complex. That's the only way I can see going forward. Everything else that's being done is almost being done by force, by hand. And I see no direction. Christy Nome with her hats is not going to do you, any good, But I don't know if you want to break anything else before I have Jack come on. I know Jack wanted to ask you a couple of things. You have anything else you want to bring up before I have Jack ask you a couple of things?
Oh, since you talked about WhatsApp earlier, and I know people probably think I forgot about it, but I did not forget about it. Those little images of Epps floating around, I didn't forget about it. I know you think I forgot about it, but I didn't. I have certain things I have to get done timing-wise, but I didn't forget. It's coming to you. We're going to snatch up a lot of people in that one, and they think it was a joke. No joke.
There'll be a lot.
I can say something. Recently I've written a lot about different things because what happened is that a lot of people, they get themselves worked up about these different issues, and they're political issues, obviously. Even everything with the police is political because it's all Fourth Amendment stuff. Without being informed, I would think that if you're going to get yourself worked up, try to do at least a little bit of homework first to understand. Because people say, oh, why people don't work with ICE? Because the Constitution says we shouldn't work with them. It's two different things. General policing versus it's constitutionally different. But people get themselves and they do the talking points. They go out there, confuse you. When people talk to you, do the research, man. This is why I write a lot. I write a lot to give people free information. Like I recently wrote about these promotions and, it's the bottom line is I need to do more on it, a lot more deep dive, which I'm going to. But my point is that look at the information before you get yourself worked up about these things. Do the homework. You call this person unqualified, but what about all the other people that are unqualified? Are you kidding me? They don't even talk about Tish.
The soccer.
She's not qualified. She keeps talking about a correlation between her decision making and policies and the crime. But meanwhile, when the crime goes up, we don't hear fucking shit, do we? I thought you were saying you guys stopped crime. Oh, the bullshit artist got caught. But the media won't call her out, and the general public won't call. She's really cleaning things up. She didn't clean shit up. It's just recharacterized. That's all it is.
No,
look whose name is in that letter. Who's the chief detective right now? Kenny.
Still, yeah.
Whose name is in that letter? Kenny. Whose administration he's under? Tish. Continuing. And that letter was only sent in December, by the way. That's recent. I just won't say when. It was December.
So
very recent.
So people should know that does regard active, it's still active what's going on. That's why I try to tell people it's not just to one administration, it's gone on to the next one. As somebody that says something about taking, let's say that woman Sanchez, as far as the procedure goes in ICE, asking her to leave peaceful, whatever. Well, in this country, you got to be careful and lawful. We can't just ask someone something, but like I said, there should be a plan on what to do with people that have, if they've overstayed their visas, but some of these people also pay taxes as well. I don't know if people know this, so you have to be careful who and you're doing, like who you're going after. I thought we were targeting just gang members, like really bad guys. Instead, it's become a mishmash, which is the problem is there's no direction. And it's chaotic.
And I don't know if you see, even the listeners, that these federal judges are starting to rule against the administration. They're saying, nah, you're retaliating against people. You don't like their politics. And that's what's going on now all over the United States. So all these cases are percolating to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has taken on more cases probably in this year than they've taken over all the administration in the last, I don't know how many years. It's just everything's litigation. You can't litigate everything.
So this one here, 1804 Banks is asking any lawsuit regarding a mile-and-a-half run or any need.
It depends if they want to go forward, but they have a viable case. All you got to do is read about it. Every place has challenged it, and I know people get all emotional about the 1.5 run. I did the mile-and-a-half run, and I ran in 7 minutes. So what? It still is illegal. And the bottom line is every place has been challenged. The Chicago Police Department, Farmingdale Fire Department, the Erie, Pennsylvania was challenged. Every place that challenges it, it's a loser. Why? Because there is no scientific correlation between 1.5 miles and police work, because cops are not fucking runners. They are to keep the peace, and if they have to use physical force, running, hand grabs, arrests, that's all usually short and close combat. It's not fucking running behind someone for 2 miles, especially in the city of New York. You may run a couple of blocks, but you're not running no 1.5 miles. Come on, stop it already. That's the most asinine thing I ever hear people even talk about. And then the ones who are talking this shit, they couldn't fucking do it. They barely did it. And they can't do it now. But yet they talk about everybody else.
Yeah, I always, from day one, when I was in the police department, I was very against the 1.5 miles because I said, there's a JST, everything's going to be physical. Running is 2 different things. And I did the same thing. I was in that NYPD running club, although I never got to go run with them as in the pandemic hit and everything. But I would run on my own. I did 15-mile runs in Las Vegas and stuff. But if I had one guy says, when you say turn around, you're under arrest, I'm not going anywhere, officer. Damn, if I ran 1.5 miles, wouldn't make a difference. Me and him are going to go. We're going to tussle. So now it comes down to your endurance, the mental fortitude to handle it, how strong you are. That's more important, which the JST, I believe, is more inclined to, give you the attributes you need. And you need to keep training as well, which is why the one thing like the FBI doing, they have that every year. You got to requalify on physicals. But there's no 1.5 miles run. I was always against this from day one when I walked in the police academy. So just so people don't think that, oh, you jump. No, I was always like, you could, in fact, they sent me to EEO because this one guy didn't like, oh, your beard. I had a letter always you had to have a note for the beard back in that day, medical. Your beard was a little too long because the guy didn't like what I said in the gym. He doesn't know who he's even like training in the gym. So I went to EO and they can't measure your beer, but they looked at me and said, you shouldn't even be here. And they wrote this thing and I was gone. And it was because I challenged someone saying, why the hell the mile and a half and why are you training cops like this for? So
since you mentioned, and I want to mention something else about testing real quick. Whether people realize it or not, I know that there's people have a lot of feelings. And guess what? The world doesn't run on people's feelings. It runs on scientific data. If you are an employer and you want to test your employee or an applicant, it has to meet certain criteria, not Eric Sanders rules, not fucking DEI rules like you keep talking. It's got to meet a scientific formula. Why? Because it has to be able to apply to the general populace. That's just basic understanding of human behavior without even getting to the scientific part of it and how people test and learn it. I mean, that's more complex, but the bottom line is you have to meet objective criteria. If you don't meet it, it doesn't meet the test. It doesn't matter whether it's a civil service exam, whether it's a background investigation, whether it's promotional board, where you go a review board and you do an oral interview. All those things have to meet a standard. If they don't meet a standard, they're by definition wrong. I don't understand what's so hard for people to understand about that. It's not favoring one group over another. I even wrote something the other day about reverse discrimination. No fucking such thing. First of all, it says race. That means it applies to any race. White, black, whatever race, it doesn't matter. The point is if it impacts a white group, they can just have a discrimination case like anybody else. That's why I don't understand why these people get themselves worked up. It's sad. But you'll keep me in business, so keep up the good work saying all this stuff. I love it.
To be continued. Let me have my producer / wingman Jack Enton. By the way, we're all for the Miami Hurricanes tonight. But Jack, I know you had things on your mind. So
yeah, more on the Canes in a second. But first, Eric, a large part of this show we've talked about people being unqualified for positions they're in, and you mentioned Dan Bonvino. Here's a photo of him carrying out Operation Midwest.
Guy, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is him carrying out the Midwest Blitz when it comes to deportations of ICE, right? Like he looks like he's at war. But I think he's kind of a particularly interesting case study because this is someone who spent the first 3 decades of his law enforcement career working in Border Patrol and, ICE protections, that sort of thing. But he was primarily stationed in the West Coast, right? California, Arizona, Colorado. And then all of a sudden he's thrown into a role where he's working in the Midwest and he's overseeing the operation. To make a parallel analogy, this is analogous in nature to if someone worked in transit their entire NYPD career and is now in charge of housing, right? So
he's think about it, it's culture shock.
Yeah, it's a
holy shit, man. That's not 2 people. These are millions of people.
He's overseeing an operation in a region that he's inherently unfamiliar with. And he was relieved of his position by then President Joe Biden a couple years ago when he was overseeing operations in California. My question to you, Eric, is what objection do you take with this dilemma? Because he's not familiar with the community. He doesn't know the people. He doesn't know the area. And now he's tasked with overseeing all of the deportations in Chicago. And, oh, by the way, he also doesn't get along with the mayor either.
See, that's the problem, and I told Sal and I talked about this the other day. When I was a cop in the 101, they had these 2 detectives. I can't remember the female. She's a black female, white male detective. They used to call him White Cloud, and they call her Black Cloud. But they knew everything about, and that's Henson, by the way. He worked for the Maze Detail. But they knew everything about homicides, everything. They want to know something, they have sources all over the place. What these guys are doing are general policing things, and this is where it's important. If you don't understand the culture in the community, you're in trouble. You're going to be fighting everybody. Meanwhile, the law-abiding people say, hey, you know that gang guy, he lives right down there. But they can't even get cooperation from him because they're so busy being adversarial. You can't police being adversarial.
That's exactly. And it's at some point in time, I mean, people talk about ICE finding a fine line between deporting violent criminals who are members of Trenda, Aragua, and other gangs, but also allowing people who own mom and pop grocery stores that are providing essential services to the community to stay. when are the lawmakers who are constantly encouraging violence against ICE agents going to lobby for actual change? Because Jacob Frey's probably been the worst example of all of this over the past couple of days, when he keeps saying, we're not letting ICE into our city, we're going to force them out, we're not going to collaborate with them. Let's all remember that Jacob Frey was the same person who said that he had banned no-knock arrest warrants, yet someone was killed while one was being utilized in his city, and he refused to answer questions about this. So whether it be Mayor Frey or Hakeem Jeffries or any of the other Democrats involved in the efforts right now, it seems like they're all talk, but they're not actually willing to lobby for legislative changes.
I don't know if I guess we got
there he is. He disappeared for a moment there, Eric.
The bottom line is, the problem is a lot of these politicians do a lot of talking points. All right. There needs to be a comprehensive immigration solution, and the only people who carry it out is Congress. And until that's done, we're going to have this chaos. It just happens to be under the Trump administration, which people think is going to last 4 years. I could tell you right now, if I was one of his advisors, I would tell him, it sounds good, President, but we got to, dial this stuff back, because what we're going to have is civil unrest in all these cities, and we don't want that. That's going to be a disaster. So they sit down with Congress and actually come up with a plan to deal with this millions of people. They're not going to be able to go. All these guys are making money. They're making money. They're charging us through the nose. They're hotels, food, and everything. And believe me, they're not going to solve the immigration problem by deporting millions of people. Physically impossible. And the courts are beating it back too. They're saying you're just retaliating against them because you don't like the politics. See?
Yeah, I again, this guy though, that mayor. When you're the mayor, you need to learn that your rhetoric could either higher or lower what's going on the street, and he's hiring the temperature when he should be trying to level things out. He should even say, I want to meet with some federal officials, and but he's not doing that either. I don't know what he's doing.
You see the comment you just put up when Christine suggested there's a safe zone? Here's her problem. She doesn't understand the First Amendment. And Sal, you understand. Is there such thing as a safe zone? Yes, wherever the police set it up. It could be a roving group of people, still protected by the First Amendment. See, that's the problem. The problem is they don't understand. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's making a whole bunch of comments out in the public. Very disingenuous. People protest. You can have roving bands protesting. You can have all kinds of stuff. People may not like it, but that's what the First Amendment protects. It doesn't, obviously no damage and things like that, but you most certainly can have bans. You can stand. What I don't like, and I can tell you what I don't like people doing. This is what I don't like. I don't like them getting into people's faces. I keep saying, I don't believe in fighting the police. However wrong they are, I don't believe in getting in their face and baiting them, because these things could be volatile. You can video them and make all the comments you want. Just do it at a safe distance. Don't physically interfere with them. That is unlawful. Talking to them, calling them all kinds of names, that's lawful. Videoing, that's getting in their face. Nah, you're way too close to being unlawful. Because despite what people believe, they have a right to protect themselves too.
And look at this image of Wonder Woman, as I like to call her here. Kristi Noem went from being the type of mom who said, what time are you bringing my son home, to bring him home tomorrow afternoon after you guys had a good night, right? Like, this is one of the most stunning transformations in political history. Being someone who was like a small-time politician in the state of South Dakota, working on pipelines and Native American tribes and all that stuff, to now running the Department for Homeland Security. I mean, talk about a meteoric rise. That epitomizes that concept.
She knows nothing about that business. The operations. Why? Listen, and then wearing that big ridiculous cowboy hat. What the hell's wrong with these people, man? Big cowboy hat with big loop earrings. Is that you're in charge of a law enforcement agency? That's how you look?
Well, I think we've kind of answered the question here. She's the perfect figurehead to carry out the agenda being directed by the Trump administration. I mean, a lot of Trump supporters just want people to be deported, not knowing why they're being deported or what they're being deported for, because that's part of the America First agenda. In reality, though, the administration is looking to bring in a number of younger, wealthier people from out of the country on H-1B visas. So it's not really getting rid of illegal immigrants. It's just shifting the socioeconomic demographic, right?
$100,000. What is it? What do they want? $100,000 for a visa? $1 million? I forgot. Whatever. Some outrageous thing. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, if you're paying out-of-state international tuition at one of our universities, you have the money to pay $60,000 a year in tuition. Give a $50,000 a year donation to your charity of choice in this country, and you're also going to be stimulating the economy because you have money to spend. So that's the thought process and rationale here. But all of the rich old people who are retired and need low-wage immigrants to fix their air conditioning or come fix their microwave, what's going to happen when none of those people are left because you've deported all of them? That's the fundamental question that needs to be answered right now.
Yeah, it's more complex than that. I mean, it sounds good to, anyway, we could talk about the social classification. That really is anyway. You don't understand that if you push one group out, anyway, I can go on. We can talk about this for hours. This is just ridiculous. What they're doing is just recycling money different ways, right? So you're spending all this money to deport people, but all you're really doing is now recycling money back to your friends now, because guess who's running these corporations?
I like that. Yeah, you know something? Matt O'Brien has said this. Needed the guy before her. Look what he did, lie after lie. The guy that was there before her, Mayorkas, was
Oh my God.
He's a disaster too.
He shouldn't be. He talk about unqualified. Mayorkas was another.
He's a political appointment. Like, he knows nothing about the operation. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But what it boils down to is now they have all these detention centers, billions of dollars are going out the door again, taxpayers' money, and guess what? The problem's still not being solved.
Amazing, man. I'm gonna say shit. Oh boy, I'm surprised. I'm supposed to be meditating at an apartment. Show the time. Show tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Amazing, Ant. The show, Sal Greco Show, is on Mondays and Thursdays at 11:05 a.m. So that's Eastern Standard Time. So now you'll know. Every Monday and Thursday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if you have anything else for Eric, Jack, but I know Eric is a busy man, as you know.
Yeah, my final question for you, Eric, is we've heard a lot about the overtime abuse, especially at the time of the Jeffrey Madry scandal, how it was undermining public safety because money that could have been allocated for, say, transit cops or increased police presence in dangerous neighborhoods was now being spent on overtime for employees who already were at a high pay scale. So kind of what are your thoughts on how to better allocate the resources? Because last year, the NYPD spent $9.2 billion just on payroll, and that number is going to need to come down.
I actually wrote about this. I think they always talk about we need more police officers. I said this when I was a police officer. We don't need more police officers. We need to allocate them better. The problem is we have too many cops. We don't need 30-something thousand cops. I know it upsets them to hear it, but I'm always going to tell the truth about this. We have way too many police officers. What we need to do is hire civilians, right? The money that you spend on overtime can easily hire 5,000 civilians and take those same police officers and all these administrative jobs and put their ass back on the road, which is where they're supposed to be, instead of all these administrative positions. That's the problem. And
yeah, we glamorize the idea.
And we have too many rank structures, too many high structures. We got a captain, deputy inspector, inspector, assistant chief, deputy chief. There's too many levels. Get rid of some of those levels.
And special assignment within the sergeant and lieutenant rank as well. And then there's 3 different grades of detectives, which is kind of rigging and ruining the system too, because you get a promotion, you're now making $10,000 more per year to do a position where you're in an administrative post, and your overtime pay scale has increased as well. That's a budgetary issue when you have to consider that New York City is not raking in any more tax dollars right now in this economy.
But you know what? Even if they were, it's still just a waste of taxpayers' money because there's no need for it. That's the problem. I didn't talk about the grades. I kind of wrote a little bit about this yesterday because these shadow jobs in the police department you don't know about unless you're part of the culture, you understand. Mm-hmm. Assignment. I didn't talk about the detective. That's the next thing I'm going to crack. Grades. But the bottom line is it's a lot of wasted money. But this is all part of the spoil system. This is what I keep talking about. It's hard to break it because it's built on corruption, favors, and this is why you have this problem.
Or you could just be at the next chief of department party where they're going to be, dancing with subordinates and whatnot, and then there'll be lawsuits stemming from that one.
These budgets, the NYPD budget's in the billions of dollars, and I can guarantee you, a good half of that is wasted money. Easy.
Yeah, Eric, it's always good having you on. You'll definitely be back soon because there's other things we haven't gotten to yet publicly, but we will very soon. So I know the soccer mom will be watching, but Eric, have a good rest of your Martin Luther King Day. So
and go, my ambulance for John Shell. John, you'll be here for me soon.
Real quick before you leave, Eric, because I know you're a football fan. Do you have the Hurricanes beating the Hoosiers tonight in Miami?
Wow. It's the first time the Hoosiers been this far deep. I mean, this guy's quarterback is great though. Miami hasn't been there in a while either. I don't know. Maybe a toss-up. But I don't know. I think I have Indiana to eke it out.
Score prediction.
I don't think it's going to be high scoring though. I would say 28-14.
28-14 Hoosiers. Okay, and there you have it from Eric Sanders, handicapping expert.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right.
good to see Eric. Yeah, and I actually flipped that around. I think it's going to be close, but I think Miami wins. And if we haven't noticed yet, everybody I predicted to win this weekend won. I told you the Patriots would win. I told you the Broncos would win, even though I know that game.
Man, was that a game or what? That was probably the best game of the entire weekend.
The Rams won, right? The Rams won.
Yeah, and the Rams won in overtime against the Bears late last night. I mean, that was incredible too, with Caleb Williams throwing the game-tying touchdown pass and then the Rams kicking the go-ahead field goal in overtime. I mean, that was really an incredible game. The only game that wasn't close was Seattle. And
I've swept through, so I've predicted Miami every single win the entire time. I should have been, with the Dave Portnoy eating pizzas, but I told everybody Miami. Again, I'm going to stick with them tonight. They're going to win. Either it's going to be real close, 1 or 2 points. I can't tell you. I don't know what the spread is, but they're going to pull this out somehow, some way, in front of a live audience in Miami. They're playing in a home stadium that's in Miami. I don't know how they could lose, and they haven't been in a long time.
No, how cool is that? I mean, it's like when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got to play the Super Bowl in Tampa a few years ago. It's so rare for a team to get to play on their home turf in either the Super Bowl or the national championship game because all of the higher-ups choose an objective neutral site. But I'm going Indiana. I think their defense has been really good. Fernando Mendoza has been the best quarterback in college football. They're undefeated right now. How can you pick against that? So I'm going with the Hoosiers. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 27-17 is my final score prediction.
I don't know. I think maybe it's going to be something like 21-17, 2017 with Miami. It might be even less points because they're both defensive teams. But again, Miami wins tonight, one way or the other. They'll be the national champions. Oh, I did mention, I forgot to mention, I did predict Seattle to beat the Niners, and they crushed them, actually, which was the worst game of the weekend. So
41-6. I've never seen a playoff game that lopsided before.
It was horrible, actually. It was it's like watching the Vikings and the Giants from 2000. I don't even remember that game, but
oh my God.
They had a game in the NFC Championship, which was like 47-0 or something. The Giants crushed them, and then they got crushed in the Super Bowl because they were a paper champion. So. I don't know. Yeah. Anything else, Jack? And I guess we have had we had a great discussion this morning with Eric. And always bringing facts, fact-based analysis. That's what we are. And I know everybody got that little tip about Chief LePetrie's little party, but and of course, Jack, you made your debut on Crowdsource the Truth. So.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun with Jason going around, looking at all the nice cars in Palm Beach, looking at the restaurants, walking down South Ocean Boulevard. But one final thing, because Florida gubernatorial frontrunner who has $40 million of financial backing behind him, and of course, President Trump's support as well, Byron Donalds went on Fox and Friends this morning, and he had some very choice words for Mayor Jacob Frey. I want everyone to take a listen to this because there's been kind of a war of rhetoric between blue city politicians and red city politicians. This is Donald's trying to endear himself to constituents in Florida and really all across the country, seeing as he's been a congressman for the past couple of years as well.
Your reaction to Jacob Fry, mayor of Minneapolis, basically saying that this is blue state bias.
Jacob Fry is a fool. Everybody knows he's a fool. He's a democratic socialist. He does not want to uphold the Constitution. He does not want to uphold the rule of law. You want to compare Florida and Minneapolis? Governor Ron DeSantis, by the way, the best governor in the country, he actually made sure that local law enforcement in our state was cooperating with the federal government through the 287G program. Mayor Fry can do that very easily, where the Minneapolis PD will actually cooperate with ICE. But he doesn't want to do that. You see, Mayor Fry and Governor Walz, they want the crazy. That's what they're looking for. They want the AstroTurf protesters. That's what they're looking for. They're trying to stand up to President Trump because their party has no ideas and they choose this route. So that man is a fool and a clown. That's why Minneapolis has terrible leadership. That's why you're seeing all this AstroTurf protesting in the streets, where now they're shooting fireworks at ICE agents. They're throwing rocks and bottles at ICE agents. This is despicable behavior, but what do you expect when the mayor is an absolute fool?
So that pretty much defines the contrast between Jacob Frey and Byron Donalds. Jacob Frey is all about attacking ICE agents and saying, get them the hell out of there, even though he's willing to collaborate with them for some things. Whereas Byron Donalds is saying we need a full-fledged, full-scale collaboration. That approach is much better because it avoids the possibility of these violent protests, which have run rampant in blue cities, and ultimately causes more destruction. If you have full-fledged collaboration, there's not going to be this level of mayhem on the street because people are not going to be protesting, rioting like it's a third world country. So there needs to be more defined parameters about what's allowed, what's not allowed when it comes to obviously protesting, but also deportations. Who are we deporting? Because I don't think you could walk up to most Americans on the street and have them clearly defining what criminals are being deported and what ones are being allowed to stay here.
Well, I know one thing. I'll be voting for Byron Donalds, who I believe is the next Florida governor. And let's hope that actually becomes a reality. And again, Jacob Frey, worst mayor in America. And his rhetoric can really kind of bridge the gap here, but he likes to be divisive. What can I say? That's the end result. I'll say this. I think today was a lot of information that we said. There's a lot of going on in New York City Police Department, a lot more than people knew. You know more now than you did, before we started the show. But yeah, a lot going on. We're going to be continuing looking into that stuff, especially with LePetri and all what's going on. So I think that does it from South Florida here. So we'll see you on Thursday at 11:05 a.m. Stay tuned and see if I have anyone special coming up, but I'll see you all on 11:05. So me and Jack are going to sign off from sunny South Florida for the moment, because as you know, it is a sunny place for shady people.
What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, the assistant as assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
Listen, there was a book that came out that Jasmine Ray wrote, and in the Daily News today, it was stated that there was a sexual action that happened in Borough Hall. She reported in that book, and it wasn't. You're a dark, sick person, man. You know that? You're a dark, sick person. Your name was on the byline. And there's some of you that have been covering me. You guys could part. Let me do this. Y'all could depart. Some of you have been covering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark writers that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book. But that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind. You're one of the sickest reporters I know. Go to the next question. You're a sick person.